Hello, this is a short video to give you some additional explanation besides what's printed here on the screen and in Moodle on the portfolio assignment. There's two aspects to the portfolio assignment. There's a contest and then there's a portfolio assignment. So the first thing that you need to focus on is what stocks you're going to pick and entering them in a portfolio. So what you're going to do is go into Yahoo Finance, and you're going to, basically it's a contest where you have $10,000 in play money, and you're going to pick 10 equities or mutual funds or exchange traded funds, $1,000 each, and you're going to build a portfolio comprised of 10 of these equities, mutual funds, or exchange traded funds, $1,000 each to make up the $10,000. The contest is buy and hold. So you just purchase them and hold them. There's no trading or anything. There's no short selling or anything. It's just buy and hold. And then at the end of the semester or the end of the summer, since this is a summer school class, we're going to see who the winners are for the portfolio contest. And there's some small prizes that I give in the form of gift cards. Now, your grade is not dependent on how well your portfolio performs. It's a short timeline. It's just to give you an idea of what the stock market's like and how volatile it can be. So anyway, begin here in part one. What you should do right now is just start thinking about what equities you'd like to have in your portfolio. And so you can just do a Google search. And for example, you could search, the 10 best stocks to buy right now, or what are the best stocks for a diversified portfolio. And then before you know it, you'll have plenty of ideas on what kind of companies to buy or what types of funds to buy. So that's the first part, is this contest. So let's come down here to number 3. So what you're going to do on Thursday, June 24th, after 3 o'clock, the market closes at 3 o'clock. You're going to enter your portfolio in Yahoo Finance. And so there's a subsequent video to this that explains step-by-step instructions on how to enter your portfolio or how to set up the portfolio in Yahoo Finance. But basically what you're going to do here is sign up with the username and password in Yahoo Finance, and you go to portfolios, and then you're going to pick 10 stocks, $1,000 each, totaling $10,000. You have to enter this portfolio by midnight on June 24th. Then once you do that, take a screenshot of your portfolio and upload it into the Turn-In portal in Moodle so I can see what's in your portfolio. Then you just watch your money grow. And then on Wednesday, after the market closes on Wednesday, July 28th, you're going to take another screenshot of that portfolio, upload it into Moodle, and that way I can see what your total balance is and what your returns are, and I can see who the winners are, and I'll announce the winners on July 30th. So that's part one of the assignment, which is not graded. Actually, each time you upload that the portfolio, it's 1 point in Moodle, so it's really not graded. That's the first part. The second part is to write an analysis of your stocks. So if you've picked mutual funds or exchange traded funds, you can just write a summary on some of the largest holdings in that fund or what the theme of the fund is, and just tell me some information about the fund. But for this mainly, the bulk of your portfolio should be individual equities. And when you're writing your summaries, it's a 1-page summary of each equity. You should focus on these 3 areas: the macroeconomic variables, the fundamentals, and the technical analysis. Now, when you look at the video synopses for chapters 8, 9, and 10, that will give you some idea of the fundamentals. So when we talk about fundamentals, that's basically the ratio analysis. You're looking at the fundamentals of the company. How well is the company doing? Look at some of the key ratios. There's some sample reports, some sample summaries in Yahoo that in Moodle that you can look at. So for the fundamentals, you're just basically talking about the company and how healthy the company is, what are some of the key ratios, and how do those look. And you can find out more information on that in chapters 8, 9, and 10. The macroeconomic variables, that's basically the big picture. Think about your company and the industry that your company's in and how the macroeconomic variables are affecting your company. For example, the Biden administration, what policies under the Biden administration or the current presidential administration might affect your company? What about the Federal Reserve policy? Right now we're in a situation where there's signs of inflation and there's worry about rising interest rates. That could affect economic growth. That can affect profitability for companies. So also additional government regulation can adversely affect a company. Also think about, on the positive side, think about demographics. How is that affecting your company or your industry? In other words, if you're in the, is the aging of America affecting your company positively? So, certain industries like the tourism industry, for example, might be positively affected by the aging demographics because there's more retirees who have more money and can travel more and so forth. So just think about the macroeconomic variables. Basically, that's from chapter 11. So read that chapter, and when you look at that video synopsis, I'll be mentioning in more detail regarding the macroeconomic variables. But it's just basically thinking about the industry in general and the firm that you're picking and the industry that your firm is in, and just talking about what's the climate for that particular industry and for your firm. Let's see what else. And then the last section is called the technical analysis. And the technical analysis is discussed in chapter 12. So if you look at that video synopsis, I'll have those synopses posted in the next week or so. And that's when you look really at the momentum. That's when you look at the charts. Has the price of the stock, is it trending up or is it trending down? And we have something called there's several different technical analyses that I want you to focus on, mainly just three in particular, just to kind of see where you think the stock is going. So that's just another tool that people use to see if they should invest in a stock or not. And they're just basically looking at, where's the trend? Is there an upward trend in the stock or a downward trend? And one way to look at these trends, try to figure out what's going to happen to the price of a stock, is to look at some of these charts. So you're not limited to these three areas, but that's a suggestion when you're analyzing a stock, to kind of focus on these three areas. Then also you might, just at the end of each summary, just tell me, what's your opinion of the stock? Why are you picking this stock? You might just have a gut feeling about the stock, or you may know a lot of people who like this particular company, or you may have an idea that in the future there's going to be a lot, an increased demand for the products that this company sells. So you're not limited to these three areas. Just let me know, why you're picking the stock. So it's pretty much an open-ended assignment, as long as you can support your answers. And the assignment is kind of backwards in a way, that you're picking the stocks for this contest before you've really learned about all this analysis. But unfortunately, the reason that I do this is because we want to have time to see the stocks grow. And there's not enough time to see what the potential return is unless unless you make up the portfolio early. So that's why it's kind of backwards. So once you've picked your stocks and when you're doing your analysis, you might decide that the stock isn't a good buy, and that's perfectly fine. Just tell me why, if you find that to be the case. Or you might say, well, it's a decent company, but it's overvalued right now. I think the stock has had too much of a run up. So maybe a little bit, it might be a buy if the price comes down a bit. Okay, so anyway, just to repeat, the portfolio assignment worth 120 points. June 24th after 3 p.m., that's when you're going to put your 10 stocks that you've picked into a portfolio in Yahoo. And there is, after you've watched this video, watch the next video that's posted that's specific to how to enter your stocks in Yahoo. Then after that, you should concentrate on your portfolio analysis. You're required to write a one-page summary for each stock that you have selected, and that your portfolio analysis is due on July 22nd. And then finally on Wednesday, July 28th, after the market closes, that's the end of the contest. You're supposed to print out your portfolio again, upload it into Moodle so I can see what your returns have been. And I know this, taking the class online, it's not the best situation of face-to-face. So if you have any questions, just feel free to give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you, or come by my office. I'd be happy to discuss this with you further. Now, and let me tell you also, a good website when you're looking for some stocks to invest in is called Seeking Alpha. That's SEEKINGALPHA. You have to sign up for that website. When you go to Seeking Alpha, you'll have to sign up. You don't have to pay anything, but you just have to come up with a username and a password. And I found that to be a really good site as far as finding information about stocks. They have some pretty good in-depth analyses. So if you put a stock in, then that will, you can find some pretty good articles. The Seeking Alpha articles are really good. And then also when you go to Yahoo, if you pull up a stock, you can, it'll show you news down below that's affiliated with the stock or with the industry. And so once you've started doing some research on stocks, quickly you'll find other stocks. One thing will lead you to another, and then you can, in no time at all, you'll definitely have 10 different equities. Now you can also choose mutual funds, as I mentioned. Mutual funds, of course, are just companies that pool people's money, and they select different various companies. So you can select different mutual funds if you want. You can also select index funds. For example, SPY. The SPY is the S&P 500 exchange traded fund that is based on the S&P 500. You might want to just pick some index funds. The QQQ is the index fund based on the NASDAQ. And so you can write a summary of those and just tell me about the fund, those particular indices and why you picked them, if you choose those. Some people like to diversify their portfolios with precious metals because that's a good, the correlation tends to be low or negative with precious metals. In other words, when there's bad news everywhere, gold and silver tends to go up. And so when they have exchange traded funds that invest in those, you don't have to actually buy the metals. So for example, GLD, that's an index fund that invests in gold. SLV, an index fund that invests in silver. So although I'm not making these recommendations, I'm just giving you some different choices. OIH is a really interesting one to look at. OIH is an oil services fund, which has been doing very well in the recent months because it's been down for years with oil prices being depressed. So that's another one to look at. And if you don't want to invest in individual companies. So then also just, think about the trends that are going on these days. For example, the COVID trade is over. So, Zoom and Home Depot, Lowe's, Lululemon, uh, Amazon, although, Amazon's a good company, all of these stocks that went way up during COVID have come down now. That's probably, those aren't the best things to be investing in right now. Banks, the banking stocks have really gone down in the last few weeks because of rising interest rates, and they are said to be undervalued. So you might want to look at some bank stocks. Disney might be an interesting one to look at. It hasn't really done much over the past year. So just giving you some ideas out there. There's always Walmart, Amazon, McDonald's, just to name a few, but Apple, of course. But anyway, there's pharmaceutical companies out there. Just another thing that you might do is you can go to these mutual funds and you can look at it's like you can do a Google search of mutual funds. And then when you select on the individual mutual funds, they will tell you what the top 10 holdings are. And then that can give you also some ideas for some stocks. If you want to buy Bitcoin, that's popular sometimes. I would not recommend investing in Bitcoin, but actually one year, about 3 years ago, the winner of the contest had $1,000 in Bitcoin and ended up winning the contest. So if you want to give Bitcoin a try, that's fine. You can add that to your portfolio. COIN is a new ETF that's Bitcoin. Well, it's a bunch of different cryptocurrencies. What else? Oh, there's a really interesting new ETF out there that you might want to look at. It's called Buzz, B-U-Z-Z. And you're probably familiar with the whole Reddit situation and how these people on Reddit have pumped up AMC and they've pumped up GameStop and BlackBerry. Well, there's, of course, it's a whole different playing field right now with the technology that we have and the social media and so forth. So this new ETF called Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, it's a fund, an exchange traded fund, which an exchange traded fund is basically a mutual fund that trades like a stock. Well, this fund is trying to use artificial intelligence and capture all of the noise out there. In other words, all of the people who are talking on Reddit and all the people who are talking on social media and all of this buzz basically about different stocks, they're trying to capture that through artificial intelligence and invest and make money off of that. So that's been really interesting to watch. It's a little bit volatile, but it's going to be interesting to see if that really works. So you might want to add that that's an idea to add that. Of course, the pot stocks they've been popular since marijuana is becoming legal in more and more states. Tilray is one of them. I would not recommend investing in them, but if you want to take a look at those, that's an interesting field. But it's just playing money, right? So it really doesn't matter. Also, I think Johnson & Johnson and some of these pharmaceutical companies, as the world gets vaccinated, those are probably some good plays also. So anyway, that's just some ideas. And when you look at the next video on Yahoo, I'm going to share my Yahoo account with you, and you can look at some older portfolios also to get some ideas. Now, the returns might be, when you look at those old portfolios, some of the returns might not be accurate, because if a company has a stock split, it's not going to be reflected. But in any event, feel free to look at those to get some ideas. And if you don't want to open a Yahoo account, you can just enter in a portfolio in my account if you want to. It's fine, and just use that one and upload it from there. But I do need you need to turn in your your portfolios into Moodle, into the Moodle portal by midnight on June 24th. Okay, and just let me know if you have any questions, and take care.